Now better. Writing code gets your eyes tired? Try coding mode. Forget the time. Light reminder lets you know. Totally immersed in the movie? Minimize software won't distract you. Break reminder and force break help manage your screen time. When it's almost time, a countdown starts. Force break activates to rest your eyes. I care you. Safeguard your eyes. Safeguard your eyes smartly and easily with an eye care monitor and eye care U software. Working on a paper? Turn on low blue light mode. Is the sun too bright? Let brightness intelligence do its work. Now better. Writing code gets your eyes tired? Try coding mode. Forget the time. Light reminder lets you know. Totally immersed in the movie? Minimize software won't distract you. Break reminder and force break help manage your screen time. When it's almost time, a countdown starts. Force break activates to rest your eyes. I care you. Safeguard your eyes. Safeguard your eyes smartly and easily with an eye care monitor and eye care U software. Working on a paper? Turn on low blue light mode. Is the sun too bright? Let brightness intelligence do its work. Now better. Writing code gets your eyes tired? Try coding mode. Forget the time. Light reminder lets you know. Totally immersed in the movie? Minimize software won't distract you. Break reminder and force break help manage your screen time. When it's almost time, a countdown starts. Force break activates to rest your eyes. Eye care you. Safeguard your eyes. Safeguard your eyes smartly and easily with an eye care monitor and eye care U software. Working on a paper? Turn on low blue light mode. Is the sun too bright? Let brightness intelligence do its work. Now better. Writing code gets your eyes tired? Try coding mode. Forget the time. Light reminder lets you know. Totally immersed in the movie? Minimize software won't distract you. Break reminder and force break help manage your screen time. When it's almost time, a countdown starts.
right, welcome back, everybody, to the 5th day of AMX Season 2. My name is Reed, and back again with, the first time I read your ID, Brad, I read Brad Dad. I was like, oh, congratulations. But actually, it's just Rad, of course, short for Radical, something that I guess people have called our league a little bit. We got a lot of cars, a lot of tracks, and a lot of action. How are you doing today, Brad?
Thanks for that introduction, Reed. Yeah, it's great to be back with AMX. Of course, it's been a few races since I've been back, but I've been keeping tabs on the league. And we're back tonight today, depending, I guess, where your time zone's at, with a car and a track combination that I've been looking forward to, and I'm a little jealous that I'm not racing it. Kind of wish I was racing it today.
That's right, Brad. We got Toyota GR86s on Okayama, and then a little bit later on, after a 30-minute break, we got 911 Porsches on Summit Point Motorsports Park. You can, of course, see the Okayama International Circuit there on your screen. And a little bit of a reminder that if you guys want to sign up to race as part of our Beta Season 2, you can head on over to amxrace.com. We got free races, $5, $20 entry fees, so you can race as much as you like over there. It's a little bit of a preview of our track, and of course both of our very cool names up there with some very cool weather. I mean, I guess 26 might not be very cool where you guys are from, but that's a brisk outdoors from Texas, so it gets a little bit hot down there. But yeah, 26 degrees can really heat up that black top, and we have, of course, a 50% chance of rain. However, I would say that given the status of iRacing right now, that's a little bit closer on the 0% side, partly cloudy, not a lot of wind, and overall probably a pretty good day for racing. And here's a look at a lot of stuff. But basically, if you head on up towards the top, you can see that we do have about 90 races this season, and there's a breakdown for the prize money. You want to play for free? $50 minimum payout, and of course $30 on the line in the prize pool every day. You want to head on over to Pay Tier 2, $20 to play, over $500 in the prize pool for your Pay Tier 2 races. We're going to be seeing another one of those a little bit later on. So a lot of money on the line here, and if you want to look at the format there, our 20-minute practice, 10-minute qualifiers, and a 20-minute race. So we will be heading into those 10-minute qualifiers here in just a few moments. And it looks like this is our schedule. If you guys want to wonder when you are playing with us, these are the look at the days. It's going to be about a 3-month league, so this is just a little bit of a look at our first few weeks. We got four race days every week with 2 different races on that day. Like I said earlier, our first race is GR86s on Okayama, and then coming up a little bit later on, we got Porsche 911 on Summit Point. So yeah, a lot of races, 90 races this season. So make sure to write that down, head on over to amxrace.com, and join us for one of these days, because you too could win any of these points, right? This is a free race, so first gets 8 points. If you're the fastest lap, you get another 3. And each point is $1, so that's a total of 8 plus 3 is 11. Just trying to make you guys feel good about your math skills out there. But a lot of money on the line, even if you're playing in free races like today. And so yeah, you can see exactly what's on the line there. And that is going to lead us to our track information. If you guys don't feel like reading a lot today, I can throw things over to my compatriot Brad to break down Okayama. What are we looking at here, Brad?
Yeah, so Okayama, track built in the 90s. It's meant to be more of a country club track, 3.65 kilometers, 266 meter altitude in Japan. It's a nice mix of high speed, long straight, hairpin corners. We were talking about it before the broadcast. I think the big challenge is going to be turn 5, which is a hairpin. There's the Moss S, which is technically turn 3. Can be a bit of a challenge for drivers, especially if they underestimate those curves. We've seen some drivers go off just watching practice at turn 5, turn 3, and then of course you have Hobbs, you've got Redmond, Piper. It's just an 11-corner circuit. It's a nice fast circuit, but it's a lot of fun. It's hosted Super GT, it's hosted MotoGP. This is a track that is very well known. If you're on iRacing, it's a track that you should have in your repertoire, and you should be able to just throw down a lap on this track with no issue.
And it's really going to test every aspect of these cars coming up. And of course, these cars are Toyota GR86, distant cousin of their production counterparts. If you guys are looking for a more real-world racing experience, there are not that many differences. A little bit souped up versions of course, the regular GTs. So you got a really exciting front wheel, or yeah, it's front weight or front rear weight balance is a little bit forward heavy. Of course, it is front engine rear wheel drive. So really fun car to play, and something that's pretty accessible if you're just getting into. Of course, this is a look at practice. We actually had some of our players, they've been in here. We give them about 80 minutes, so an hour and 20 minutes to do practice laps. And we got guys like Fabio Zamperlini's been on here for 44 laps, ironing out the kinks and getting that race time down as low as possible. And he's currently only about 50 hundredths of a second, shooting 500, never. Anyway, he's very close to the fastest lap. It's currently held by Josh Merwin after only 10 laps. We also got Kyle Gaspar here in with 35 laps. And a lot of our players really in there racing their hearts out, practicing to get ready to show you guys the absolute best parts of their skills. And of course, Brad, we got a lot of very familiar faces here from previous seasons of AMX, and coming back, even some guys who have really been putting up some of our top times even this season.
Yeah, Reed, I was looking at it. We've got big names here in AMX, names that I recognize from Season 1, Season 1.5. Guinez, Gaspar, Kulharvi, Pervine, Zamperlini, Diego Villarreal, Anderson P. Silva, all big names that made a lot of money in Season 1, Season 1.5. And then, of course, we're here in Season 2, full swing. And I think you might want to remind Zamperlini and Gaston Kulharvi there, we're still in practice. They can slow it down a little bit. They've got a couple minutes. I think they're rehearsing just a little bit of that action we're going to see for the race, but it's just practice, guys. We can hold on for just a minute.
Nah, man, never let up the pressure. Don't listen to Brad. I'm here to watch some exciting practice laps. This is practice. We got qualifiers coming up, so there is a lot of race left. We got 10-minute qualifiers, and if I'm looking at this correctly, we got guys playing today who have already made an incredible amount of money off of this. We got guys like Victor Miranda. He has won 67% of the races he has entered. That's not bad, right? We got guys like Corentin Guinez, who has won, I think, 60% of the races he has entered. I'm not sure if the stats directly line up. Both of these guys won an incredible amount of money already, like $300-400 already in their pockets for playing these paid Tier 2 races. So, yeah, don't sleep on the prize money. It's very accessible. We only have 10 players or 12 players. Very easy for you guys to get into the money. So come on out and race. If you want to do that, of course, head over to amxrace.com. Yeah, Brad, we were talking about some of these laps. Do you have any idea what the fastest lap so far has been on Okayama?
So, fastest lap we've seen here in practice is Guinez at a 144.45. I would say qualifying, we're going to get probably in the 143s. I'd say the drivers are going to have a little bit more to give. I would say we're going to see someone hit that high 143 mark. We might see low 143s. I don't think the drivers are keeping that much in the tank, but then again, you never know with the way they are. We've only got about 15 seconds to find out, though.
Yeah, if you're looking towards GTs, GT4s, that kind of style out there, the times are getting down there. In real life, we got a lot of the very best Japanese racers. Of course, this track is in Japan. They're putting up some 137s, 134s, so that's sort of the absolute highest end. Of course, these cars are pretty fast as well. A lot of Formula cars, of course, racing on this circuit. Formula 1, when it went there, Michael Schumacher set a 114. So it just gives you an idea of the perspective of what what kind of times are possible on this track. And of course, as Brad was mentioning earlier, there really is a very dynamic set of turns and some very, very big straightaways coming up after turn 4. And then, of course, again, after that last quarter, speeding on through the finish line, you have a lot of potential to really hit those max top speeds. Of course, you definitely have to make sure to turn it down a little bit around a lot of the very, very challenging corners. I mentioned hairpin earlier, Hobbs corners, some very challenging corners that racers are going to have to really hit the apex of in order to come back and hit the straightaways and follow thereafter. So I don't know, this is going to be really fun. And keep in mind, guys, even if we don't have some very intense action, overtaking all the time, it's still really impressive to see these guys just execute lap after lap. You guys don't believe me if you're just watching thinking, oh, they're driving their cars in circles. We get it. No! Get in there and try it yourself, and the consistency is honestly one of the most difficult aspects of racing under this much pressure.
Yeah, being consistent is key, and I say that time after time. Consistency is key, and apex to apex here in AMX is what wins you money at the end of the night. And for these drivers, it is going to be very challenging. The GR86 here can be a lot to handle at times, as we see a lot of respect being given there. Gunez having a driver just pull right out of the way, says, I don't want to be in the mix here. I don't want to be up front and have someone pushing me. Gets out of the way. But these GR86s are a lot to handle. They're very, very light on their feet. And they're very, very... It's very easy to spin these cars. It's very easy to make these things be a basket case. There can be a lot to handle at times. And if you just ask too much of the car, you demand too much in the corner, you're going to spin out easily. And when the back of the car overtakes the front, there's nothing you can do. You're a passenger at that point.
Yeah, that's exactly right. This is front engine rear wheel drive, right? So the car is front heavy with the propulsion system in the back, right? So you got to keep an eye on, oh, is that a 123 we saw? Those are some really fast times being set here by Zamperlini. You got to keep an eye on that guy. But yeah, it's really crazy how much the driving experience changes when you're going from ABS versus no ABS, front wheel drive, rear wheel drive, where the center of gravity is at. And I remember when I was kind of brushing up on the GR86s like it was just yesterday. It was, but reading about these guys, it is a lot to handle. And even though they have a comparatively low center of gravity, like you said, it's not necessarily about you flying off the track. It's about keeping your front end and your back end in the right order as you're going around some of these turns.
Yeah, absolutely. You can see here, we are looking at currently Gaspar, and you can see the car behind him flash on the headlights, trying to get Gaspar to move out of the way. They're on a push lap, and they think Gaspar is going to hold him up. You saw Gaspar move out of the way there for the fabulous Fabio Zamperlini, who currently is running through. It looks like he's going to be the first driver to put in a time here. Still waiting to see some times thrown up on the board here. I don't see anything yet. Of course, if you hit track limits, it's going to invalidate, and we might have seen Gaspar hit track limits there coming around out of turn 5. It was hard to tell on my screen, but here we go. Time's coming in now. Guinez, 144.293. Mojave, 144.761. Who is going to come across next here? It looks like Rondoletto coming across, 154.6. So he was a bit slow on his lap there. There goes Pervine coming across, 144.9. Diego Villarreal, 149.3. 145.7 for Marcos Martins. So drivers coming in pretty consistent time so far. Nobody's too crazy off. From where I'm expecting. These drivers are going to be just... Right now, you've got 10 minutes to qualify, and a lap around here is a minute 45. So they're trying to put in laps, get comfortable, make sure they have a time on the board so they're not starting in last place, and then they're going to start pushing from there. You want to make sure you have at least a representative time on the board, and that's better than just pushing over and over and over, and then not having a time at the end of the session. That's... in F1, we call it banker laps. For these drivers, you just have 10 minutes. Just throw the car around. You're going to get faster as you go. So I would say that 144.293 isn't going to stand very long there. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when.
Yeah, that's right. And this is group qualifiers, right? So if you can time it right, you hit that 9.5 minute mark. Yeah, you can still get in your last lap for free there at the end if you really want to just like get into that comfort zone and then hit your fast time there at the end. And you know, the 144s is kind of what we were talking about during practice. This is around what you're going to be expecting here from these cars on this track. By no means the fastest time ever set on this track. I think that's like a 1:10 way back in the day, 92 I think it was. But these cars, when you're talking about 86s, it is totally reasonable 144s. And then we might even get faster than that, right? This is still qualifiers. When you're hitting the real race, when the tension, the pressure is on, you see absolutely anything happen here. And of course, even though we got you know, some of our players hitting, they've gotten all of their practice laps in. They hit their a qualifier time that they're comfortable with, and even here in the final minutes of qualifiers, you could still see that tower shake up a little bit. With guys like Villarreal, who's put in a ton of laps, Zamperlini obviously down there in 5th, feels like he could actually elevate a little bit up there. But no strangers to the top of the standings. Corentin Guinness and Caio Gaspar absolutely dominant this season, and so you absolutely expect to see them way up at the top.
Yeah, it's no surprise where our drivers are at here. And of course, iRacing has a rating system, and that is going to be what kind of tells you a driver's experience, a driver's skill. So it's no surprise to see those drivers with really high ratings up at the top. 8.7K I rating there for Gunnez, which doesn't surprise me a bit. Amazing craftsmanship, racecraft, ability behind the wheel that we see from Gunnez coming through. But of course, none of these drivers are, you know, slums at all. So whenever you start out on iRacing, for those of you who may be a little bit less familiar, you start out with about 1200 I rating. That's your average after you get out of your rookies. You come out at 1200 and you kind of get placed accordingly. So we see drivers here anywhere from 2.5K to 8.7K, everywhere in between. But the thing is, every driver is competitive. And the nice thing here is so many different drivers, so many different tracks, so many different cars. You may have your preference of what you're better at. And just because you're higher rated doesn't mean you're going to win. Gunnez, of course, has to survive turn 1, and there is what I talk about with the rear overtaking the front, and Kulhavi with a beautiful save. Beautiful save there going through, I believe that was turn 1. Absolutely keeping hold of the car.
Yeah, it's crazy. We're getting some Tokyo Drift on in here on our Japanese raceway. It's really exciting to see moments like that where you can get a great idea, a feel for these players' skill. And like I was talking about earlier, Brad, we've got a lot of different car racetrack combos here in Season 2 of AMX. And so when you see things like that, it really goes to show that these players not only have skill specifically on some cars, some tracks, but even when they've hit complicated situations on some of these cars, you know, maybe not too familiar with 86s, you know, you really do get a feel for their skill, able to handle some of these stressful situations. Because a lot of these corners, you can see a lot of the racers taking them a little bit wide. You really got to cut that down, and at the same time, keep control of what can be a little bit of a beast. And you can see a great example of there as we see our our racers not really changing up their times too much. Although I would say by far the most impressive aspect of this for me is that all of the racers are setting very, very comparable times. So setting up to be what could be a very close race.
Yeah, absolutely. So less than 60 seconds left to go here in our qualifying session. On board with Rondoletto here, and we'll see if we can take a lap here around the end. And Rondoletto through turn 1, over 150Ks, coming down just to over 100K, down into second gear. Now we're coming through turn 2 here, left-hander, a little bit of curb on the left, come out to the right, not too much in the gravel, but just enough. Or if you're from the UK, you call that kitty litter. Now we're going to run through the Moss S here, turn 3. Watch your apexes. You can take that mostly straight. Heavy braking, turn 4, right-hander. And this is going to be the Atwood curve as they come out. Zamperlini has just improved this time up to P2. We're 10 seconds to go here in qualifying. I believe Rondoletto is going to be one of our last drivers to put a lap in here. As he runs down this long back straight, I feel like I could read a book in the time it takes to go down through here. Checkered flag has fallen now as he hits turn 5, the hairpin. This is his hard right-hander 180. Little bit of curb on the inside there, but does well. Comes outside, kisses the curb, comes right back inside turn 6, comes through, handful through the corners there, but holds on to it. Zamperlini currently sitting P2. Zamperlini is going to be, I believe, our last driver to actually come across and put in a time. I'm trying to see where Zamperlini is on the track. It looks like he is coming down the back stretch that I can tell. Don't think all of our drivers have set final times. Zamperlini currently P2 though, and really, when you look at it, Pervine here at 144.9, there's a big variance in the times, but it's not a lot. We're looking at just over, about 2 seconds separating our whole field?
Yeah, absolutely. 144 is up at the top, 46 at the bottom there, Silva and Martins. And this is what we were talking about earlier. We saw Zamperlini put in a bunch of practice, really paying off there with a top 2 time. And you could actually, okay, that's not really where you're going, but we're just heading into the starting grid as we come out of the qualifiers. Like I mentioned, checkered flag is out. And that means our drivers will be completing their final laps out here on the Okayama International Circuit. To get things finalized here is Kalevi coming out with his final lap time. Put him in the top 5, a respectable 144.66. And that's going to do it for qualifiers. Brad, nothing incredibly surprising. I got to say, I have not seen a lot from Singin Park thus far this season. So happy to see a Korean driver up there in the top 6 time of 144.9. And I guess that is a look at our final standings. 10, maybe 12 minutes of qualifiers.
Yeah, absolutely. Time's about where we expected. I thought times might have came down just a little bit more, but still impressive times there. Guinez in the 888 there, 144.1. That's a strong time, but of course, we just set the grid for the race, and now they've got 10 laps to survive. You've really got to survive going down into turn 1. It's going to be a drag race. I don't know if we're standing start or rolling start, but either way, run down turn 1 is going to be very, very aggressive into that first corner that is literally named first corner. So drivers just have to survive that turn 1 braking zone, try to leave a lot of room, be respectable there, and then it's gloves off, and we'll see, at the end of 10 laps, who survives.
It's a standing start to start things off there. You can see all of our drivers popping up into their grids. And so this is really just going to be right off the bat. The action will start heating up. Very international group of racers. Got some good representation from Brazil, as we've seen them top finish a lot this season. And with all of our racers in their grid, podium start ready to go. I think we might be about ready to start things off today on Okayama, Brad. Standing start, heading into first corner, and of course you were talking about some of the big hairpins coming out after turn 5, but also turn 4. That Atwood curve, you're really going to hit a huge straightaway. We're going to see some of our top speeds as our racers get off to the start of what is going to be 12 laps of incredibly high octane, intense racing here on our GR86.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great start from Guinez there off the line, but Gaspar really caught my eye back there in P3. He was trying to get away really hard. Octavio Rondoletto has lost out big time, but so far as we come around here, this is turn 4 Atwood curve. Things are very clean for the drivers coming through. That is going to be, I believe, Park running a little bit wider there, taking a wider line out of turn 4. Down this long backstretch now, it's just going to be bumper-to-bumper traffic all the way through as they run down towards turn 5. Any dives into the braking zone, I don't see anyone doing anything crazy, but that's a lot of pressure that Zamperlini is putting on Guinez there. Reed, this is some good racing so far. Everybody's staying in their lane. Nobody has tried anything too aggressive yet. I think everyone wants to survive lap 1, and then we'll kind of move forward from there.
You can see Rondoletto oversteering a little bit, getting some grass up on his tires here. Singin Park, right where he qualified, there in 5th, and really feels like all of our racers are feeling out the track so far. Rondoletto, like I said earlier, hitting a little bit of grass, and he's down there in 8th, a little bit of a slower time, but really consistent driving there. Guinez, Zamperlini, Gaspar, all some of our top racers who you would expect to see up there. Of towards the top standings. See our final, our first lap times popping up here in just a few seconds. Drivers hit that second straightaway.
Absolutely. Here is a big battle. Purvine on Park, and that is going to be Purvine getting through. He's gained 2 places since the start of the race. Park had a bad exit out of the final corner down the main straight there, and as we're on lap 2, things are going through. I'm really nervous for Zamperlini, though. He's kind of lost touch of the back of Gunez there, and Gaspar is a very strong driver, and I know that Gaspar is going to be able to find any sort of weakness out of Zamperlini, really push him there, and if Zamperlini has just one tire in the wrong place, that is going to be a very, very bad day for him.
Yeah, absolutely. We're starting to see after the first 1, 2, 3 laps, that's where you get to the middle of the pack and you start to really see our racers solidify their position in this race and really get a feel for, okay, what is reasonable for them to fight for. Now, obviously, we have seen some incredibly fast laps, and our first few laps are actually quite a bit slower than qualifiers. Getting some 155s out there, and that is not close to what we had in qualifiers, 143s. So a lot of room for improvement. Absolutely anything is possible. And you saw how consistent our racers were in qualifiers, but now that we got all the cars racing together, it's not quite so easy. A lot of intense action there. You can see some of our racers separated by just a couple tenths of a second. So really going to keep an eye on guys like Zamperlini as he tries to solidify his spot on the podium here in top 3.
I will tell you from personal experience, it is one thing to be on your own or be in a group qualifying session and be running laps, but when you have a car that is so close to your bumper, you can see the driver when they smile behind you. It is a whole nother thing about consistency. You're driving as much looking behind you as you are in front of you. And I will tell you right now, that is probably half of Zamperlini's issues. Is he's not only trying to chase down Gaspar, but I mean, look at how close Blahavi is to him. If there is even just a sneeze the wrong way, it is going to be a bad time. Blahavi's having to brake a little bit earlier there just to try to not hit Zamperlini. I don't know why Zamperlini is so much slower than the cars around him, but it is, I mean, a significant speed difference there. As we have, it looks like Purvine going very slow. I'm going to guess that he spun out there in turn 4. Looks like he's back underway. The back of that car is messed up, though. Look at that damage.
Yeah, some real contact coming in here for guys like Purvine. We saw him finish very strongly in qualifiers, but after a rough spin out, we suppose he is back at the back of the pack by seconds. So a very rough race for him, and you're starting to see our racers really solidify where they are in the pack. Looks like we might get a chance to see exactly what happened back there, because it was really heartbreaking there. And yeah, here's our AMX Global League replay showing us exactly what happens, and yeah, exactly what you were talking about there, Brad. A little bit of a spin out. Course correction, so he's not doing donuts, but still not where he wanted to be now. Back of the pack in 10.
Yeah, and it looks like when he spun there, he had it caught, and then it looks like Park just didn't anticipate him being there and hit him back in the back. So I'd be curious to see what the front of Park's car looks like as he's being chased down here by Diego Villarreal, because he is, it looks like maybe handling a little bit poorer than the cars around him. As Villarreal, it looks like this car is a handful for him. You can see him just struggling, cutting the wheel left, right, trying to get the weight to shift and balance and do what he wants there. As Rondoletto runs very wide there, and yeah, it looks like maybe a little bit of damage on the front there part, if that was who collected him there. I know it was a white car. I didn't see exactly which car. Looking at who are our big winners and losers, Rondoletto's down 1 place. Blahavi's made up a place. Gaspar and Zamperlini swapping places. And then, of course, with Purvine spinning out, that puts Villarreal, Martins, and Silva up a place. Park and Gunez, who was our pole sitter, have not moved where they're at. And at the moment, Gunez is on lap 4 of 12, has a 1.7 second lead and is continuing to just gain time.
Yeah, absolutely. We're starting to see the pack really solidify, right? You got your top 2 contenders, top 3, 4, and Calabi, Zamperlini, Gaspar, and Gunez in first. And then, of course, back behind that, you got Rondoletto, Park, Villarreal, Martins, and then Purvine, even actually after spinning out, still climbing back up in the standings, overtaking Silva there at the back. So some pretty impressive recovery there by Irvine, but you know, he's going to really need consistent top speeds to even contest guys like Martin, now 3.2 seconds ahead. Although there is still a lot of intense action towards the top. We got Zamperlini there. We saw second top qualifying speed from him in qualifiers. Self-evident, but now continuing to contest less than half a second back of top two there in Gaspar.
Yeah, Zamperlini has really turned up the gas here. I don't know what it was for those first few laps. He was going pretty slow, but Zamperlini, as we come out of turn 3, we're going big braking zone for Atwood Curve here, but look behind him there. That is Kulhavi, who is trying to have a little bit of a peek up the inside. He's not close enough to really make a safe move, but you can see the line difference that they're taking out of turn 4, and that is making a big speed difference here as this battle here for second place is really starting to kind of pick itself up here. Zamperlini 0.2 of a second back. Look at Kulhavi, a slight peek up the inside, not close enough for it to amount to anything. Zamperlini 0.3 of a second back, and here we go. This is where things get fun back on the second half of the track here. Gaspar, Zamperlini, Kulhavi, this battle is going to shape up for a while, and Gaspar is looking behind him as much as he is in front of him, still managing to hit his marks, hit his lines, run really well there. Look at Kulhavi, 0.2 of a second back there, still. These drivers are smart, and that's the one thing I love about it, is they're smart enough to not do anything overly aggressive, anything that's going to put them in risk, and they're not going to try to make a move they can't pull off. You're not going to see one of them just not hit the brakes and completely sling the car up the inside. They know that this is a long race. We're not even halfway through yet, and there's money on the line. That's the thing. There's real money on the line. A little bit of gravel off of the final corner there, and now it's the drag towards turn 1, and Kulhavi's a lot closer this time than he has been. Now 0.1 of a second back. Is he gonna look here? Still not looking at any sort of a peek up the inside or through a turn, which is really kind of catching me off guard. I'm really shocked he's not trying to just put a nose in there, throw Zamperlini off a little bit, and just try to put himself up that place. He's there, he has the speed. I guess it's just a matter of they're a little bit smarter than I am behind the wheel.
You know, it's one thing for us to, you know, sit in the passenger seat and say, okay, well, you know, just turn the wheel there, hit the pedal, you're good. Because there's a lot of pressure here. And for players, their comfort zone, their risk assessment is a lot different. And so, you know, we had first lap times of 1:55 already down to that qualifier time of 1:44. We're really starting to speed up here, and these players know one big risk early on in the race can really ruin your last half, and we are about halfway through here, hitting lap 6. So now is the time where you're really going to have to make that choice. Running out of laps, you've had a chance to practice, hit those top times, and if you're going to make a move, you got to make it now, because that puts so much pressure back on the guys right behind you. Hitting a little bit of bumper there. Not sure if that was contact, but you can really see how aggressively the drivers are racing.
Yeah, Kulhavi has so much more speed than Zamperlini, and at this point, Zamperlini is just a roadblock. There's 2.2 seconds back. This P2, P3, 4 group is from Guinez, and they've got 4.7 seconds to the cars behind. So at this point, Kulhavi knows he has the speed, and really Zamperlini is just a roadblock. We're seeing some really good defensive driving coming from Zamperlini. And you see Kulhavi kind of resetting. He's came back a little bit more than he's been that entire last lap. Kulhavi seems to have the pace in the first half of the lap to really make a difference, but that second half of the lap, he's not able to convert through. And I think it's just he's waiting a little bit longer, or he's trying to just force Zamperlini into an error, because if you're Zamperlini and you're having to look behind you as much as you do in front of you, you're going to slip up eventually, just like a slip up there from, it looks like that was Marcos Martins running out into the gravel a little bit.
Yeah, and you're starting to see a little bit of sloppiness here towards the middle of the race. Not indicative of the player's skill level, but it's just that difficult to maintain that consistency over the course of the entire race. Even the top racers at times are going to hit turns wide, miss the apex a little bit. There's the discussion about early versus late apexing. You're starting to see a little bit of variety here, although the consistency of this top 2, 3, 4 race has been there the entire time. Look at how close these racers are. Kaspar, Zamperlini, Kalevi, and this is where the action is going to be for the rest of the race. You're starting to see full seconds there. Rondoletto, they're 4 behind the top of the pack. And while Ganez is dominant in the first spot, he's 2.5 seconds up his next competitor in Gaspar. Zamperlini and Kalevi really keeping this race exciting as we near the second half.
Absolutely. This is going to start lap 8 now, and Kulhavi 0.2 of a second back. I love this onboard shot because you can see just how close these cars are. And here's the thing, they're doing, you know, top speed close to 200 Ks diving into turn 1 here. And think about how close they are. If you're in your road car and you're in your Toyota Corolla, Camry, whatever it may be, and you're driving and you're this close to someone doing 200 Ks, you're pretty nervous. But these drivers are just on top of it. And now, even though the front of the pack, we've seen a lot of action, a lot of side-by-side, the back of the pack is starting to heat up here. Marcos Martins trying to make a move here on Diego Villarreal, 0.2 of a second. You can see him, he's trying to set up a move here. A little bit different line. He thought about trying to run a peek up the inside. He brakes early. And oh, there's that air we talked about. Diego Villarreal. Late on the brakes there, a little too late, trying to look behind him. Spins out. Oh, he almost gets collected by Pervine there. And oh, Diego Villarreal losing out 2 places out of nowhere. You can see the back of the car has a little bit of damage there. But that's what happens, and I think that's what Kulhavi is trying to set up on Zamperlini. There is your example of what we've been talking about. He's trying to force a little bit of an error, and those errors can collect big time.
Absolutely. Really a heartbreaker there. Silva Villarreal now down there, and Pervine, after spinning out to last early on in this race, climbing 2 spaces, even though he's at the back of the pack, he is not giving up without a fight. And what we were talking about earlier at the front of the pack, Gaspar, Zamperlini, and Kalevi, still absolutely as close as it has ever been near our final few laps. Really impressive to see almost the exact same lines sticking out of these turns. And it looks like we actually have a replay of that last altercation towards the back of the pack there. Martin Irvine, Villarreal, let's check it out. AMX Global League replay, a little bit of an oversteer, trying to correct. He doesn't spin, but is way off in the weeds, and it's going to cost him 2 places coming back into the race.
Yeah, and it's just, that's the thing, is one little mistake can cost you big time. And that's where, if you think about it, these drivers aren't just, this isn't your Sunday drive. This isn't, you know, you see people on YouTube do like canyon driving and different stuff. That's not what this is. This is aggressive. There's money on the line. There's real life dollars on the line, and the drivers don't want to hold anything back. And unfortunately, as a racer, these things happen. The good news is we've got a 90 race season. They've got a lot of opportunities here, and we are only on race, what is this, race 5?
That's right, it's 5th day. So I know it's your first time joining us. Of course, we're going to see you back quite a few times, and we've got a lot of familiar faces from the commentary team from last season. So gonna be a lot of races. So can't get too burned out early on. These racers are racing almost every single race. We see these guys 90 times. Imagine just the player development over the course of the season. We are really leveling things up here for season 2. And oh, Kalevi, I thought he was gonna look coming around the inside of that corner, but really rough to get around. Gaspar and Zamperlini, they are neck and neck here throughout almost every lap of this race so far.
Yeah, and the thing is, you can see a little bit of wear there coming from Zamperlini. You can see a little bit of fatigue starting to set in. He's just slightly off his line, doing slightly different things here. It's not anything that's going to cost him, but, I mean, Kulhavi's aggressive on the brakes there. You can see just how quickly the gap is closing into the braking zone. It seems like, just as I've continued to watch these 2 drivers go through, because that's where it seems like Zamperlini really has it. But look at this. This might put everything to bed here, because Zamperlini started to pick it up, and he's very, very close to Gaspar there. We're in turn 4, and this run down to turn 5 is going to be essential for these drivers, and who finishes where on the podium.
Yeah, these huge straightaways, and already you can start to see a little bumper on tail action there. All you have to do is just squeeze right around the edge, and oh, there it is, the move coming through the corner. Are we going to see this shake up? And it does look like Gaspar, now Kalevi, Zamperlini down in fourth.
You can't see it, but I'm literally throwing my fists in the air. That has been set up lap after lap now for 3/4 of this race. And Kulavi just set that up perfectly, forced it 3 wide, put Zamperlini in an uncomfortable spot. Zamperlini had to back out of it. And now Kulavi just has to go after Gaspar. Look at the wheel action here from Zamperlini. He is fighting to keep this car in play. I don't know if maybe his tires are a little gone, but look at that. He is having to catch this car in the middle of every corner. Gaspar now has a target on his back.
Absolutely, coming through the corners there. Big S curve with Redmond and Hobbs, and now back around, coming through last corner, on through that big straightaway. We're gonna hit some top speeds, and this is where our racers really get a chance to hit that top speed through the straightaway. So take a look at that overtake, absolute artwork here, hitting it pedal to the metal right through the goalpost there, and a beautiful, beautiful moment there. I don't think you can really ask for a much better overtake. If you guys are looking to see how it's done, Levy showing us a little bit of artwork.
Yeah, absolutely. And now look at this. We talked about Gaspar as the target on his back. Kulhavi is setting him up now. And I think it's really important the way these drivers are exiting turn 4. As you can see the speed difference here. Look at how that gap is closing. And they're leaving Zamperlini behind just slightly. He doesn't have enough. They're going to be side by side running into turn 5. Inside line is going to be preferred. Who comes out on top here is the question.
Kalevi almost did it. Seconds. Hundredths of a second away from that overtake.
I thought Kulhavi was going to try to set up a switchback and really hold on to it there. Doesn't look like he was able to set it up. Still going for it. We're near the end here. And the thing is, there is a huge difference in points between third and second. They're really going to be trying to push. They're trying to get the difference there. Because, again, this is all about the money in the pocket. Look at this. He's setting up wide. He's trying to set up alternate lines. He's pushing and doing what he can. Try to get Gaspar in his sights and try to get that car just a nose. He just needs the nose to be there, and he can try to set it up and get past him. And Kulhavi has the skill to do it. Gaspar has the skill to defend. This is literally the battle of two giants. You can see trying to break slipstream there now. Gaspar going a little bit different. Kulhavi's going to come across the line with him. They're going to swerve back over into the racing line. That is allowed. There's nothing wrong with that. Trying to break the slipstream down the main straight. You're just trying to give yourself every opportunity you can to defend. But watch Zamperlini here. Zamperlini is going to be looking. He's going to be hungry. We're final lap of the race, Reed, and this is going to be where it's decided.
Absolute bumper to bumper coming around the inside. Thought he was going to make a move there for the overtake, and it still might happen. Our final lap here, Brad, and the action has never been more intense. On the inside, Kalevi looking for the lead. If he hits that pedal, he is 700ths of a second away. The final stretch is coming out here, and will he be able to make that overtake happen? It doesn't look like he's able to hit the top speed. He needs an altercation. Is a little bit of a rub between Kalevi and Zamperlini, and that is going to all but knock them out of contesting Gaspar there for second.
Gaspar set that up beautifully, and you saw the move over. Once he had the pass, he moved over to defend. Zamperlini tried to put his nose in. Just not enough room there. I think Kulhavi just ran it a little wide. I don't think that was intentional. There was plenty of racing room there. I thought that was respectable. Just hard racing on the final lap. And now as we run through, I don't think Kulhavi can do anything. Try to contest Gaspar for P2. Agunes, 4.5 second lead. I don't think we've talked about him all race, but we can't forget that leader. Agunes will come through, bring it across. Round 5 here, he is going to win it. But watch this battle here. Gaspar has to survive the final corner. He does. Gaspar brings this across for P2. Agunes, I don't think we talked about him for most of the race, and he's going to drift it around turn 1. A little bit of a celebratory drift. Well-deserved from a driver that just absolutely, I mean, the headlight celebration, we didn't have to talk about him. It was a dominant victory there. That battle for P2, though, that is going to go down in the books as a highlight moment to me. And now, still don't think the action's done. Silva, Villarreal, drag race to the line. Who comes across here? Silva by 0.01 of a second.
What? So crazy to see. You know, even Perline, spinning out there and managing to climb 2 places into 8th and a 100th of a second separating our final 2 racers. Action all across every single section of our race today, Brad. But you know, we might not have talked about Guinness the entire time, but that's kind of how you want it to be, right? So dominant. 4.5 second, 4.6 actually finish over Gaspar, but you can just see how close it got after that. Gaspar, Calavi, Zamperlini, and Calavi making that intense overtake as a privateer over Zamperlini. Just artwork, craftsmanship there. An incredible finish to an incredible race here on Okayama National Circuit.
Yeah, that fight for P2 is going to be such a highlight there because Kulhavi and Zamperlini and Gaspar just battling it out in that final corner attempt, that final chance they had at turn 5 to try to go through, and Zamperlini and Kulhavi having that little bit of contact. I mean, you can't make this stuff up, and that's the beauty of sim racing. You can't make that up, and it's just they're trying everything. Everything's on the line. They go through, and again, you know, I have to mention Gunez because we didn't mention him the whole race. We spent an entire 12-lap race, didn't say a word about him once. So, and if you're the leader, that's what you want. Really, that's what you want, is you don't want to be mentioned. You just want to run your own race, do what you do, and go from there.
And that's going to do it for our first race of the day. 30-minute break coming up, and then we're heading out on to Summit Point Motorsports Park for some Porsche 911 GT3 action. So don't go anywhere. We'll see you back here in just about 30 minutes for our second race of the day here at AMX Season 2. Don't go anywhere.
Safeguard your eyes smartly and easily with an eye care monitor and eye care U software. Working on a paper? Turn on low blue light mode. Is the sun too bright? Let brightness intelligence do its work. Now better. Writing code gets your eyes tired? Try coding mode. Forget the time. Light reminder lets you know. Totally immersed in the movie? Minimize software won't distract you. Brake reminder and force brake help manage your screen time. When it's almost time, a countdown starts. Force brake activates to rest your eyes. Eye care you. Safeguard your eyes. Safeguard your eyes smartly and easily with an eye care monitor and eye care U software. Working on a paper? Turn on low blue light mode. Is the sun too bright? Let brightness intelligence do its work. Now better. Writing code gets your eyes tired? Try coding mode. Forget the time. Light reminder lets you know. Totally immersed in the movie? Minimize software won't distract you. Break reminder and force break help manage your screen time. When it's almost time, a countdown starts. Force break activates to rest your eyes. Eye care U. Safeguard your eyes. Safeguard your eyes smartly and easily with an eye care monitor and eye care U software. Working on a paper? Turn on low blue light mode. Is the sun too bright? Let brightness intelligence do its work. Now better. Writing code gets your eyes tired? Try coding mode. Forget the time. Light reminder lets you know. Totally immersed in the movie? Minimize software won't distract you. Break reminder and force break help manage your screen time. When it's almost time, a countdown starts. Force break activates to rest your eyes. Eye care U. Safeguard your eyes. Safeguard your eyes smartly and easily with an eye care monitor and eye care U software. Working on a paper? Turn on low blue light mode. Is the sun too bright? Let brightness intelligence do its work. Now better. Writing code gets your eyes tired? Try coding mode. Forget the time. Light reminder lets you know. Totally immersed in the movie? Minimize software won't distract you. Break reminder and force break help manage your screen time. When it's almost time, a countdown starts. Force break activates to rest your eyes. Eye care U. Safeguard your eyes. Safeguard your eyes smartly and easily with an eye care monitor and eye care U software. Working on a paper? Turn on low blue light mode. Is the sun too bright? Let brightness intelligence do its work. Now better. Writing code gets your eyes tired? Try coding mode. Forget the time. Light reminder lets you know. Totally immersed in the movie? Minimize software won't distract you. Break reminder and force break help manage your screen time. When it's almost time, a countdown starts. Force break activates to rest your eyes. Eye care U. Safeguard your eyes. Safeguard your eyes smartly and easily with an eye care monitor and eye care U software. Working on a paper? Turn on low blue light mode. Is the sun too bright? Let brightness intelligence do its work. Now better. Writing code gets your eyes tired? Try coding mode. Forget the time. Light reminder lets you know. Totally immersed in the movie? Minimize software won't distract you. Brake reminder and force brake help manage your screen time. When it's almost time, a countdown starts. Force brake activates to rest your eyes. Eye care U. Safeguard your eyes. Safeguard your eyes smartly and easily with an eye care monitor and eye care U software. Working on a paper? Turn on low blue light mode. Is the sun too bright? Let brightness intelligence do its work. Now better. Writing code gets your eyes tired? Try coding mode. Forget the time. Light reminder lets you know. Totally immersed in the movie? Minimize software won't distract you. Brake reminder and force brake help manage your screen time. When it's almost time, a countdown starts. Force brake activates to rest your eyes. Eye care U. Safeguard your eyes. Safeguard your eyes smartly and easily with an eye care monitor and eye care U software. Working on a paper? Turn on low blue light mode. Is the sun too bright? Let brightness intelligence do its work. Now better. Writing code gets your eyes tired? Try coding mode. Forget the time. Light reminder lets you know. Totally immersed in the movie? Minimize software won't distract you. Break reminder and force break help manage your screen time. When it's almost time, a countdown starts. Force break activates to rest your eyes. Eye care you. Safeguard your eyes. Safeguard your eyes smartly and easily with an eye care monitor and eye care U software. Working on a paper? Turn on low blue light mode. Is the sun too bright? Let brightness intelligence do its work. Now better. Writing code gets your eyes tired? Try coding mode. Forget the time. Light reminder lets you know. Totally immersed in the movie? Minimize software won't distract you. Break reminder and force break help manage your screen time. When it's almost time, a countdown starts. Force break activates to rest your eyes. Eye care you. Safeguard your eyes. Safeguard your eyes smartly and easily with an eye care monitor and Eye Care U software. Working on a paper? Turn on low blue light mode. Is the sun too bright? Let brightness intelligence do its work. Now better. Writing code gets your eyes tired? Try coding mode. Forget the time. Light Reminder lets you know. Totally immersed in the movie? Minimize software won't distract you. Break Reminder and Force Break help manage your screen time. When it's almost time, a countdown starts. Force Break activates to rest your eyes. Eye Care U. Safeguard your eyes.
I think we're having some technical issues, which is what I think he's trying to communicate through hand signals and kind of clicking his mic around there. But welcome back, everyone. Here we are back for the next race this evening, which is going to be a really, really fun race. We're finishing up after, I would argue, what was a really, really good race there for the free tier race 5. Gunez pulling out a 4.6 second lead and winning there. Race 5, absolutely great. Big battles all the way through the field, front to back. But we are back here. I hope everyone's having a good evening, good morning, depending on where you're at. And we are going to be here at Summit Point Motorsports with a Porsche 911 GT3 Cup. It's the Porsche 992. It's a lot of fun. This is going to be an interesting race. Of course, this is a paid tier, $20 entry fee. But of course, with an entry fee, means you bring more money back. And here is going to be where we're at. Of course, if you do want to sign up anytime you want to, amxrace.com. Check it out. Pick a race. Sign up. Races run very regularly here, and you can jump in anytime you like. There are minimum payouts. We'll go over that here in just a second. But 4 days a week, we have racing on some sort of a track. So depending on what you prefer, a morning race, a night race, there's plenty of races to go through. But let's focus on the race going now. It is Beta Season 2, Paid Tier 2, Race 3, Porsche GT3, the 992 at Summit Motorsport Park. That is going to be in the USA in Jefferson County. It's, of course, me and Reed. But Reed having some mic issues, so I'm going to go ahead and take you through all the things up in front. 55% chance of rain, but, of course, with iRacing, not a big thing to worry about. Nice, clear track. So should be a lot of good racing coming up to you. And as you see in the background, of course, is Summit Point. Prize pool here, over $16,000 in prizes being given out, over 90 races, 45 free races, 22 paid tier 1, $5 entry fee, and paid tier 2, what we're in now, 23 races with a $20 entry fee, $506 on the line today. And we are looking at a variety of cars, tracks. You get an hour and 20 minutes of practice before, 10-minute qualifying, races about 20 minutes. Any skill level, anytime you want to sign up, amxrace.com. Of course, we are sitting, it's 10:40 p.m. Eastern. Depending on where that is for you, it might be in the morning for you, it might be in the evening. Either way, good morning, good night, good afternoon, whatever is up to you. April 15th, we are on day number 5. Of course, here in just 2 days' time, we hit day 6 of racing, which I think is going to be a lot of fun to watch. That is going to be GT1s at Michelin and the W13 AMG at Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps. That should be a lot of fun to watch as we go through into the coming races. And if you like the variety, it's literally as simple as picking what you like on the calendar and go. Looking at how the points pay out, because that is where you earn your money. Here in paid tier 2, the stakes are up significantly. $20 entry fee, 1 point is $1 US. You have to earn $200 to get paid out for this tier. You get first place, 100 points automatically. Participation, 5 points. Fastest lap, 50 points. So if you finish P1, you're the fastest on track, and you showed up, it's $155. Second place is going to be $80. Third place, $60. Fourth place, $40. And it steps on down from there. Up to 20 drivers can participate in the race. A lot of money on the line. A lot of money on the line for these drivers. Really? All right, and now let's step to what's been on the background here, what you've been looking at while you listen to my voice talk about all the fun things that go on behind the scenes. It is Summit Point Raceway. It's a beautiful, beautiful 2-mile track, and there's a 1.1 mile Jefferson circuit that ties in. We're running the 3.2 kilometer 2-mile track set in West Virginia countryside. Absolutely beautiful. We're about 2 hours away from Washington, D.C., which is, of course, the capital of the U.S. This is a very fun track. It's, again, a track that every iRacing driver should have in their repertoire. You should be able to put down laps on Summit Point because you run this track from rookies all the way up. It's something that you really need to know and you need to be competitive on. Nothing on this track should catch you by surprise as you run through your career in iRacing. And looking at the car, this is personally my favorite car that exists on this planet. A Porsche 991 GT3 Cup, better known as the Porsche 992, and it is the best-selling race car as it should be. It's got a larger rear wing, a larger front lip, 510 horsepower, electronic gear shifting, fully digital cockpit, a double wishbone front axle. There's so many beautiful things to this car that was introduced in 2021 for the Porsche Super Cup season. It's a car that, again, iRacing should be familiar with it. It is a car that you have to buy on iRacing, but it's so worth the $10 that you pay to get this car. And then any other car that you run on iRacing, I always come back to this one personally. Absolutely love it. It is such a fun time. Cannot recommend it enough. So a little bit different practice session here than what there's been. Reed, do we have you back? All right, we don't have Reed back yet, which is no problem. But look at this beautiful Yunez with this livery on his Porsche 911. And here's the fun thing with it that I love about iRacing. You can customize the cars, make them look how you want. But look at this gorgeous interior and look at the speed these cars are carrying through. Really, here's again another fun thing with AMX. We mix up the cars, we mix up the tracks, and there's about 4 minutes of practice left. So this is going to be one of those things that you typically wouldn't see. But the fun with sim racing is we can make it happen. And let's ride on board with Yunez here. Look at that, over 200 Ks running down into turn 1, I believe is where he's at, as he goes around. Hard right-hander through, and this is going to be just a walk in the park for this car. There's so much grip, so much acceleration. Look at this, over 200 Ks running down in this left-hander, and this is going to be Turn 3, he comes out, looks really good. Watch the kitty litter on the right, or the gravel trap, as you call it. He's going to keep bringing it around. Still looking really good. Our left-hander turn 5.
I'll check
Still just turning through, having no issues. Again, turn 6, our right-hander, into another right-hander to turn 7. Not a problem, just the grip in this car is impressive. Continue to watch through. Now another right-hander, turn 9. Lots of right-handers, run it out to the curb, run it all the way down. You run underneath the bridge here, drop through. The car stays planted because of that massive rear wing. Right-handers, some ones went off into the gravel there, and Gunez doesn't have an issue. All the way through. His best lap is a 109, and Gunez just set us in with a 112. So still a lot of time to find. So running through, look at that, out-braking himself into turn 1, locks up that inside wheel. He's going to reset to the pit lane with no issue, and now we are looking on board with the number 93, Jackson Resende in that Texaco livery. I love it. Jackson Resende, good name from AMX. We know him, he's very familiar, and it's good to see him back on track here in paid Tier 2. This is going to be the big guns. Right now, we've had 6 drivers in qualifying. Resende is the only driver that we didn't see in the last race. And if you don't remember how the last race ended up, they're free Tier 5. Gunez, again, 5-second lead out. Right now, he's sitting P3. And what just happened to Resende? What? Okay, moving on. Anyways, no drivers out on track at the minute. We've got about 2 minutes left to go. So let's just kind of talk for a second here about some of the races upcoming here in AMX as we set up and get ready for the drivers to go out on a 10-minute qualifying with a 10-minute race lap. So again, coming up here in just 2 days' time on the 17th, we have GT1 classes at Michelin Road America running the full course, and that is going to be our paid or free entry for that day. And then your paid tier 1 is going to be the third race for Tier 1. It is going to be the AMG W13 running with the Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps, which is a great time here. No cars out on track right now. I just enjoy looking at Summit Raceway. It's a really pretty track. Again, this is a track that if you don't have any repertoire, you really should. As someone in iRacing, this should be a familiar track to you. Now, running laps in, 109s, 110s, 111s might not be as familiar to you because usually on this car, you're going to be running the MX-5 Cups, Formula Vs, those sort of cars usually run this track, and they usually run about minute and a half, minute 45. And so this is going to be a unique challenge. This really proves the racecraft that these drivers have. It's going to show what advantages and disadvantages there are to this faster car. There's a lot more grip in it. There's a lot more to it that the Porsche 992 brings, or the 911 GT3 Cup, whichever way you want to call it. It's the same thing, just different shapes. And checkered flag has fallen on practice. Nobody decided to go out on a last-second flyer, which I'm appreciative of. And now we're going to set up here. 10 minutes qualifying coming at you. And looking at the results here for practice, nothing really kind of catches my eye. Everybody putting in good times, and we're straight into qualifying, it looks like. Going through Gaspar, running with the KTF BRB Esports team, the Brazilian, beautiful time. Fabio Zamperlini, fabulous Fabio, running second place, 2/10 back roughly. And then Gunez just about half a tenth back. Jackson Resende running 3/10 back. And that is going to be where we set things up. And now we have drivers going out on track now. It looks like we're still working on getting Reed back here, so I hope everybody can bear with me for just a few more minutes here. I know listening to me talk for this race might not be the best ideal thing. I'm sure I'm not the main attraction. We all know Reed is. But, hey, listen, we're going to bring you some racing either way. AMX, persevere and overcome. Fabio Zamperlini is going to be our first driver on track here. And I love this cockpit view because you can see just how sophisticated the cockpit of this car is, but you can also see just how quick this track comes up on these drivers. It's not our first time in AMX being at Summit Park, but it's still, every time we're here, it's amazing to watch the drivers handle these cars and come through. Look at the exit there onto the curbs. You got to be careful not to get a little too aggressive on the power. You see he's slowing down. He's trying to leave a little bit of room in front of him there. And now Zamperlini is going to bring us through, and this is going to be where things get fun. He runs it a little bit wide out of the final corner, trying to get as much speed as he can, and now it is the run down the main straightaway, running down towards turn 1. Zamperlini is currently sitting through. We're a minute 48 in. He put in a time there of a what did he put in? Zamperlini slowest so far, 1:22.9. He runs it off track there, down the braking zone to turn 1. And again, as we do every weekend, drivers are just trying to get some laps in, get some representative times in. Guinez, I love the livery on this car, on his 911. He has put up a good livery here. And again, another fun thing with iRacing, the liveries, you can customize the car and really make it your own. You're not just driving a sim car, you're driving your sim car. You don't have to, you pay for it, you have it, but you don't pay near the price of a real car, and if you run it into a barrier, there's a nice little reset button. You get a new car and you go through. Gaspar currently our fastest with 1:19.2 milliseconds running through. 0.2 of a second off is Guinez, who we're watching right now. Koharvi P3, Pervine P4, Sinde P5, and Fabulous Fabio currently not looking so fabulous down in P6. 6 drivers joining us today here with our race here at Summit Point. And now as we go through Guinez, it's in a 1:09.520. And now a 1:10.9. We're really starting to see some times go through. Pervine 1:10.4. Who's going to come across next? Resende should be our next driver to run down as we run through. Resende is able to get past Gaspar. Gaspar still slow. Resende not putting in a representative lap. And Zamperlini, of course, isn't going to have a representative lap as well, as he did have that off track there. Now, as we continue to watch through Gaspar, just running through, watch the speedometer in the bottom right corner. And tell me, do you think you can take that left-hander he just took at over 150 Ks? I don't think I could. Not in real life, at least. I do it in the sim, but not in real life. Look at this left-hander down into second gear, 100 Ks. Now right-hander here, 100 Ks. We're going through, looking really, really good as he runs through. Gaspar running the Metro Network run. Reed, do we have you back?
I believe we do have me back. Sorry to interrupt there, Brad. I was mesmerized by your dulcet tones. So thanks for filling in for a little bit while I was getting everything back up and running. I think we're good, but let me know if you can hear me. And of course, to all of our viewers, if you guys can hear me now too. Let me know if this is better or worse than just listening to Brad.
I'm sure they're going to say it's better.
Not possible. I was actually mesmerized. I was like, actually, this could have been a blessing in disguise, as now we've improved things. Because great job on breaking everything down here. I was in the middle of trying to, put out all of the fires and, make sure everybody was happy on my end. And I think now we're back and we can get our regularly scheduled programming back underway. Just keeping it interesting here. AMX, right? We're always trying to, add another layer of excitement. You thought the most exciting thing today was going to be these drivers, and it still probably will be, but, adding a little bit of extra drama and danger to the broadcast. So I'm glad that we could get everything back up and running, and you're no longer, cold and alone, abandoned on the broadcast, Brad.
I'd say I'm happy to do it anytime, but it's not, I don't want to do it every time. But hey,
okay,
gotta get the practice in somehow.
I feel you. Well, we're back, and I mean, it's still just qualifier. So, back to the structural integrity of the main race. 6 racers, and you already did a fantastic job of breaking them down. You can see their I rating right up there. 8.7K for Guinez. Does this guy ever lose? I don't even know what the highest rating is, but it's gotta be pretty close. So, some absolute monsters signing up here for our paid race.
Highest rating in iRacing. There's really not a limit. So it looks like there was a driver that just recently hit 11,000 I rating
Wow.
back during COVID.
Well, that is
yeah.
It's a little bit higher, but I still very respectable scores here. And also, considering you start out at like 1.2, getting up to 8.7 is ludicrously difficult. You guys out there watching want to give it a try? I mean, let me know. Whoa! Testing out some aerodynamics there. Josh Pruitt going way off in the weeds.
I don't think that's the racing line, Reed. Good thing we're in a sim and he clicks a button and he's okay, because if that happened in real life, I'd be yelling.
By far one of the best aspects of sim racing. We try to keep it as realistic as possible, and in fact, iRacing is probably one of the most physically accurate ways to sim race, but thankfully we can ignore some of the harsher realities there and get Josh back on the track in one piece, and his car as well. These are Porsches, so not the most easily replaceable cars. And with all of our racers setting relatively similar, actually it's shockingly similar lap times here, it is going to be a very, very close qualifying lap there. 109s for everybody, and even just hundredths of a second separating a lot of our racers.
Yeah, that's the fun when you shorten down the track. The times get relatively closer. So like Okayama, it's a longer track. There's a little bit more variance. There's a little bit more difference in the line. But Summit Point, again, this is a track every driver should be familiar with. Every driver needs to know how to set a good lap on Summit Point. And all of these drivers are very experienced in iRacing. So this track is second nature to them. There might be slight nuances in learning the differences in the cars and all of the technical jargon that goes into that. But, I mean, really, at the end of the day, it's Summit Point. You know the racing line. Find your braking point and just send the car through. We're seeing a lot of drivers take a little bit more curb there through the corner that is turn 3 than I really was expecting. But, hey, they're holding on to it. I don't think they're hitting track limits, so not a huge big deal.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited to see a lot of contrast this season, season 2. We're kind of really giving a chance to showcase all of the tracks that, well, not all of them, but most of the tracks, the representative tracks that iRacing has to offer on a lot of different cars. And even, this is going to be a big contrast for our drivers today. Race 1, you got to contend with the GR86s, and now Porsche 911s are obviously quite a different racing experience, really taking it back, removing a lot of the, luxuries you have on other cars, so really showcasing some of the diversity here. And excited to see how our drivers get a chance to stack up against not only the cars and the tracks, but also each other. A little bit of a redo after some tragedy kind of overtook, Perwin having that big spin out and dropping way down in the standings. It's going to be a little bit closer now that we only have 6 drivers. The action should be a little bit tighter, heavier than ever.
Yeah, absolutely. And the big thing is, all of these drivers are, again, big names in AMX. They're all drivers we know. Gunes, Resende, Gaspar, Zampolini, Pervine, and Kohavi. All 6 of these drivers, we already know their skills, we already know they're strong, and we already know that Gunes can catch and drift with no issues there coming out of the corner. And that was coming out of turn 9. He was drifting the car through. I mean, I'm talking about their skill, and Gunes just has to demonstrate why they have skill, because he can just drift a car for a corner and a half and have no issues.
Yeah, we're talking about taking corners, apexing, wow, but in truth, if you can't get that drift on, it makes it not only more exciting, but the problem is that you think you got it the first 4 or 5 times you're hitting it, and then you mess it up once, spin out, and you lose all that time you just gained. Incredibly technical driving there, and is really showing why he is way up at the top of the pack.
Absolutely. Resende, the only driver that hasn't finished yet, and it looks like he's running down the hill here towards the final corner, turn 10. And is he improving on his lap time? I can't tell right now. He's down significantly, it looks like. So, comes across, lock himself into P2 there. We've got 6 drivers that are hungry for $155.
Yeah, and that's not to mention the $50 bonus you get for fastest lap. So there's a lot of money on the line. Here's we head on out to, actually I almost said Okayama again, but Yeah, second race of the day is going to be Porsche 911s on Summit Point Motorsports Park. So, oh man, that's going to do it for our qualifying laps. Should have the tower coming up here in just a second to show you exactly how things are going to stack up. Nice little forest there to give us some greenery as we race around in what is, like you said earlier, Brad, a little bit of a simpler fare, less chicanery, which is, of course, where that word comes from. Not as many tricks here as Yokohama by far.
Not at all. This track is very calm. It's very relaxed. Nice country road driving. Gunes, Resende, Gaspar, Zamperlini, Irvine, and Kohlhavi. That's how our qualifying setup is going to go. It's going to be a standing start again here, as it was in Okinawa, and it looks like, well, am I lying? Is it a standing start?
I believe it's rolling start for this one. I can go ahead and check. And, I mean, you don't have safety cars. A little bit of a spin out there already at the beginning. And safety car going to go ahead and start us off. And I guess we're going to get a practice lap to really warm up those tires.
Yeah, the big thing for these drivers through here during this formation lap is getting your tires warmed up, getting comfortable, setting up. It looks like we're doing a full lap here. So this is, again, just going to give the drivers a little bit of time to kind of set their mind as well. Kind of get comfortable. You can see, make sure you're sided in and ready for the race. And make sure you're ready for these 20 laps coming up at you. And 20 laps are going to go really fast. It's going to be blink and you miss it. So I don't recommend blinking.
All right, this is driver's ed with Brad. It's kind of rare you get a full lap rolling start here because it does take a little bit longer. But this is a much shorter track. You got drivers posting up minutes, whereas in previous tracks you're setting 1.3, 1.4. So it definitely makes more sense to get everything rolling here. Only 6 racers, so might have a little bit of a more close-knit pack of drivers. Should make the action a lot more exciting to watch. And we are narrowing the halfway point through our first practice lap. With the pace car heading out here momentarily, we are going to get a chance to get this race underway. But already a little bit of a spread to our racers after heading through that first lap and just giving the pace car its due up there at the front as we get ready to start things off here, coming around the final turns and getting ready to head into that final paddock bend, head through the finish line for the first lap of the race.
Absolutely. Safety car will peel away here, the iRacing safety car, and that will give the control to Gunes, and he will get to decide when we go, when we don't go. Green flag will drop, and then he will just send it out. So should see that Porsche Cup iRacing safety car pull away. There it goes, and now it is a matter of when the leader says the leader wants to go. It looks like we're going to come around here side by side. Little bit of a gap there from Resende. He's kind of hanging back a little bit, and there's the green. We're going to slot back in and get ready for 20 laps because it's coming at you fast. We'll see how the drivers survive turn 1, the run down through here. It's a long straightaway here at Summit Point, and now as we go through, you can see diving back out to the left is Resende. On the inside there is Gaspar. Side by side as they come through. No big contacts there. Everybody looking good. It looks like Zamperlini is going to lose out, though, a bit. Never mind, there goes Jackson Resende spinning out of turn 1. Don't know if there was contact or not, but Resende losing out big time early on. Now we've got Irvine pushing Zamperlini into the kitty litter there. Zamperlini goes real wide, side-by-side contact there. Again, a lot more at stake here in this Tier 2 of racing, so the drivers are going to be a little bit more aggressive. Nothing too crazy going on there. It looks like Zamperlini just trying to find a line that wasn't there. And now as we run through a little bit of grass from Irvine, and we are going through. I think we're going to have a replay here coming up of Resende in just a moment as the drivers settle in lap 1. AMX Global replay here coming through for Resende. Look at him diving with the inside there, trying to get a little bit of space, gets a little too happy on the throttle, rear end snaps out. And it looks like other than Jackson Resende, we have survived lap 1, Reed.
I was gonna say, it's been a rough lap one. We got 20 laps here, Brad. And if you're trying to get all the action out of the way early, you know, I don't know, I think we've done a pretty good job of that. However, I don't think that things are gonna let up. And while Resende might have a tough time ahead of him after an unfortunate little bit of contact there, the rest of the pack looking surprisingly even, obviously with more of the action towards the middle of the pack. And once again, Guinness way up front, already setting things out strong with a 1 second lead after the first 2 laps out here on Summit Point.
Watch out for Kohlhavi is going to be, if any of these drivers are listening to the stream while you're driving, first off, we appreciate you. Second off, focus on your driving, but heed my warning. Watch out for Kohlhavi back in P5. Watch Kohlhavi have a major battle for P2 for a majority of the last race. We know the racecraft Kohlhavi has. We know the pace Kohlhavi can bring. And I have a feeling Kohlhavi is going to get very, very antsy as this race goes on, considering how up the stakes are. Look at this battle for P3 here. Irvine, Zampolini, and Kohlhavi as we go through. Guinness putting in our first representative lap here with a 109.4. Looking really strong up front, 0.3 of a second ahead of Gaspar there, and the gap already a minute or a second and a half between the top 2 and then P2 and P3. So big battle here is going to be for P3 between 3, 4, and 5, and then Jackson Resende is going to have to punch in some really strong lap times to try to catch back up with the field. He's back 12, almost 13 seconds off the tail of the field right now.
A lot of work there for Resende. We might just see him down there, but of course 6 still good enough to make points. And whoa, Perwin, the next to take a spin, smelling the roses out there, way back in the pack along with Resende.
Oh, and that's the fun thing with these Porsche Cup cars. They are a lot to handle, and it's easy to make just one small error. So that's going to open it up. 5.8 seconds he loses out there on Kohlhavi. We know he has a lot of pace. He might be able to catch back up by the end of the race, but these 20 laps go quick. We're already on lap 4. Nothing crazy there. It was just rear tires lost grip as we went through. And Guinness continuing to pump in another fastest lap there, 109.3. He means business.
Man, already a lot of action here, and it looks like we're going to get a quick replay showing us exactly what happened there. I'm guessing just losing a little bit of control there, coming around the corner, cutting wide maybe a little bit, and we'll see what happens here. Yeah, a little bit of overdriving, spins out from behind. Of course, you got that rear-mounted flat 6 engine, and that is really going to change the way the center of gravity works. Spinning out there is not going to be good. Perwin now back along with Resende, each 6 seconds back of each other from the middle of the pack.
Yeah, it's never a good feeling when you're a racing driver and you're running a really competitive race, and then all of a sudden you're looking at the car behind you while you're looking forward over the hood, and you realize you shouldn't be facing that way, but there's pretty much nothing you can do about it at that point. So you kind of just look, you smile and wave, and you just watch the field go by as you get back on the track. And I really have appreciation for how these drivers are handling these cars. Kohlhavi, you can see, just it's very smooth, it's very controlled, and they're really, really enjoying what they're doing here at Summit Point. Look at Guinness, though, another 0.3 up on Gaspar's last lap. So Guinness, I think, has been practicing a bit for this, as he's already pulled out a 2-second lead.
You might be onto something there, Brad. You know, my opinion initially was that he was just going into this blind and dominating everybody because he's just so handsome. But I think the practice might start to play into things a little bit here. I think might have called it correctly there, and is clearly a little bit of a cut above even guys like Gaspar. I mean, Zamperlini, we saw him make some big moves in our first race of the day, and so definitely somebody to keep an eye on. But you know, throughout 5 laps out of 20, you still have a lot of race left to go. The bottom 75 coming up here, Brad. That means that, you know, if you make back maybe you know, 3-4 tenths of a second each lap, that's gonna compound. It's gonna be more than enough to bring things back. If you can post up some fast times, looking like the pack setting about 109s, at least as far as the average is concerned.
Yeah, the big thing is to remember that this is a long race, and we've talked about it And we talked about it last race, and we'll talk about it again now. It's about consistency is key. Driving consistently and driving within your skill. Don't try to push too much or you're going to spin out. Don't try to do anything too aggressive, too early, too crazy. It's a long race. There's a lot of laps. And really, I mean, if you're Gaspar, settle in. Just try to push a little bit, find a 10th or 2/10 a lap. But also remember, you know, Gunez is in front of you. If Gunez makes a small little error, it can cost him 2 to 3 seconds easily, you know, coming through the chicanes here, as Zamperlini is. If you have just one little miscalculation there through turn 7, 8, 9, and you hit the curb a little too much, you pop a little wide, you can lose 2 seconds easily, and then there you go, you're right back in the fight.
Yeah, absolutely. Keep in mind, we've seen a little bit of tragedy for Zende and Pro in this race, but they don't have the monopoly on that. Anything can happen at any moment, even guys like Gunez, although probably with that big of a lap lead, he is not going to be taking too many risks. As calm, cool, collected 300 as you head out and maintain that lead. On board with Zamperlini, though, and you can really see that he is not content to sit there in third. He does have a little bit of time left to make up, as the pack is pretty differentiated at this point, but not a done deal by any means. And I think the longer we focus on Corentin Gunez here, the more we're just going to see nothing but net, a wide open field for him as he leads the pack by 2.3.
Yeah, I'm looking at lap times here, and Gaspar and Zamperlini ran identical lap times last lap. Which is really impressive for P2 and P3, so they're building a little bit of a gap there. They're both pushing each other a bit there, trying to hold on. Gunez still running a 10th faster than them on the last lap, though. Really still setting his own pace and kind of setting things in line. He runs a 109.5, there's a 109.6 from Gaspar, a 109.8 from Zamperlini. And really it was Resende that ran the fastest last lap, and he's running within a 10th of a second of our leader. Consistently lap after lap as I sit here and watch the times, and you can see Irvine starting to pick up the pace a little bit. 109.5, a 111.0 coming from Resende that lap, though, so basically erasing everything I said about his laps being a little bit faster and staying up there with Gunez. Whoops.
The commentator curse alive and well. Thanks, Brad. I'll make sure to send him a little message afterwards. Sorry. The idea is, though, that while Resende could make things up, 8 seconds back of the 5th place, not going to be good enough unless he can drastically change things through second half of our laps. And we are coming up on that 50% as we near lap number 10. And you can see that even though our racers are remarkably consistent, Corentin Gunez continues to pull further away. Gaspar also keeping his lead up above a second. Zamperlini down by about 2. And as we're on board, you can see Zamperlini, even though he is climbing just a little bit up there in third, it is going to take a lot of hard work to overtake Caio Gaspar. Although it does look like fundamentally all of our drivers are executing at a high level of technical precision and are continuing to put up some of their best laps of the race.
Yeah, none of the drivers have settled in. Like, they're settling in, they're running good laps, but they're still pushing. They're still trying to find a bit more. Like, look at that. Look how close he's going to get to the curb here, and then Zamperlini, watch, switches back through, just as close on the next one. I mean, he is just, it's beautiful driving, and there it is again, a little bit of curb on the turn, which is doable there. Now he's going to come back across, hit that second apex. A little bit too much curb maybe, but hey, he's putting in lap times that are very, very competitive, and Zamperlini has his sights set on that rear bumper of Caio Gaspar. He's trying to chase him down here. He's got about 10 laps to do it, and frankly, I think things are going to heat up in the next 10 laps. I think Zamperlini and Gaspar are going to be the two to watch.
You know, I'm right there with you, Brad. I really do believe that Gaspar, we've seen him, especially in the first race of the day, even day 2, he did basically the same thing. Content to hang back 1 second, 2 seconds for a while, and especially on these high lap races. We got some 30s and 40 lap races coming up towards the middle of the season. You're going to see this a lot more. Just being patient, recognizing that it's not about the short term. You don't have to make up the distance now. You just have to put in consistent laps for the rest of the race. So definitely some things to keep an eye on. Zamperlini currently our most dangerous racer. See him there on your screen in the DXR livery. He is a definitely the guy to watch, at least for me. He's got the closest margin between him, Calabi, and Gaspar, and so you absolutely have to watch this guy. He pulled off some of the sickest overtakes in our first race of the day, and so absolutely a guy that can make it happen as we near the midpoint of our race, lap 10. About halfway through, coming out, turn 4.
Look at the speed difference the drivers are carrying here as they hit the line. 255, 254. It's not a big speed difference. Like, it's impressive. All of the drivers are super similar. The technicalities are where it's really catching them out on lap times. You can see Zamperlini 109.5 last lap, looking really, really good. Still a couple tenths off of their best lap times. Guinez running a 109.7. So giving up a little bit of time there and starting to settle in. He's getting comfortable here. We're running on the back half of the race, as you said. And at this point, I think Guinez is just going to dial it back a little bit and really just look at survival.
Yeah, absolutely. Just you have to stay alive, survive, and he's got a very, very comfortable cushion of about 2.5, maybe 2.3, 2.2 seconds of lead time. A lot of those gains you're starting to see with the up arrows and down arrows is really just telling the tale of the very first lap of the race, maybe lap number 2 also. So devastating to see your entire race fade before your eyes. 20 laps and giving it up so early on. That's the story of Irwin and Resendez. They both had some fabulous kerfuffles there at the beginning. 9 and 4 seconds back of Levy, who is really not in contention at this moment with Zamperlini and Gaspar, where, I don't know about you, Brad, but that's where I'm really looking for the rest of the action during our final 8 laps.
Absolutely. We're starting to see, I think, a little bit of fatigue maybe slip in from Gaspar there. He ran very, very wide out of the final corner, actually took an off track for it, and lost a lot of time. The gap to Zamperlini is now down to about, it was a second and a half. Zamperlini just lost half a second out of nowhere. Hopefully everything's okay with him. Maybe it was just a poor entry into, I believe, turn 6 is where they're at now. And overall, these drivers in P2 and P3, they're going to start to push a little bit. 8 laps to go. It's really just them at this point that's the battle. And I think we're going to start to see a little bit of errors start to come out of these two drivers. It's just a matter of which one can capitalize on it.
Another 109 from Guinez. 110's looking like from the rest of the pack, and that is going to be that's the difference, right? The player diff. First place is requires the most out of every racer. Resende actually pitting, so maybe having to deal with some annoying damage to the car after that first spin out, just taking it into the pit. That is a really, really difficult situation. So, yeah, not the greatest start from him. And coming up in just a second, it looks like we have a replay coming up to just show us what that off-track situation was looking like. There you can see fully off the track, all the way out in the grass. An unfortunate wide trip there is going to add a little bit of extra time, set him even further back in the lead.
Yeah, Guinez saving that, which was impressive. Holding on to it really well, nothing too crazy. Jackson Resende is now down a lap. So it looks like Resende potentially, is he still in the pits? Or was
now,
it
looks
just
like
a
he's out of the
damage issue,
pits.
you think?
Yeah, I'm guessing he pitted for damage. Otherwise, you just keep racing. Realistically, he did have a very difficult job there, but right now, just probably running out the rest of the race to get that finish in. And yeah, a little bit unfortunate. Probably had some damage after that initial spin out, but still going to complete out there racing on the track. And I think what we're looking at right now is by far the closest, most defining moments of this. As Zamperlini, we saw him way up there, and this is actually kind of what we missed while we were watching that replay. Is Fabio Zamperlini getting unfortunately overtaken by a big margin. It looks like we're going to get a chance to check that out right now. Keep in mind, these cars are just separated by seconds, and now after taking a very wide turn, an unfortunate spin out is going to lose him a precious place there in third.
Yeah, Zamperlini running it a little bit wide, and unlike our race leader, not able to catch it. Thankfully, not major damage through, but it was just enough that he lost out. And now look at this. This is going to heat things up because Irvine is going to be right there in P5. He's going to smell the opportunity for more points and more in his pocket. So Irvine is going to continue to push through and try to gain and get close enough to Zamperlini that here with 5 laps to go, he can try to have a dive for P4.
And that's the issue with high lap counts, right? You just have to be consistenter, if I can make up a word real fast. The idea that you have to execute every turn so frequently means that there's more and more opportunities for these mistakes to happen. And it can happen to anybody. Zamperlini knows that all too well, and now that he finds himself in danger, Josh Perwin looking for blood.
Absolutely. You can see the speed that Perwin is keeping up through the chicane section there. Turn 6, 7, 8 into turn 9. I mean, it's impressive there. He closed the gap to under half a second for just a little bit. If he can get close enough here into the main straight, run slipstream a little bit, as you can see, he has a little bit more speed right now on Zamperlini as that gap is slowly going to close. He's not going to be close enough for anything aggressive through turn 1, but he's setting himself up beautifully lap after lap, being consistent, being smooth, and he is going to have a chance, if I don't commentator curse him.
Yeah, I was going to say, Brad, slow it down there. Knock on wood a little bit.
Yeah, knock on my monitor, my desk, whatever I can here at the moment. We'll try to not jinx anyone here because I want to see some close racing here from these drivers.
I mean, only 4 more laps, 3.5 if you look at what's gone so far here. And Zamperlini, man, he is really feeling pressure now. Realistically, the pack is very, very separated. Resende way at back. Dominant performance once again from Ganez, and that Zamperlini-Perwin rivalry here. Only half a second separating, and so as we enter into the final hinterland of this race, that is where the action is going to be. The things to watch out for, what you're going to be looking for is sorry, I was getting a little bit too ahead of myself there. You're going to be looking for tight turns, hitting that apex and not going too far off those curves, which honestly we've been seeing a lot this race as we focus in on Josh Perwin sharking for the only overtake we might see heading into the final laps of this race.
Yeah, Perwin got a little bit loose there out of the final corner. We're half a lap from it now, so it's almost pointless to bring up now. But he got a little bit loose out of the final corner. It cost him a little bit down the main straight, but he's made up for it here coming out of the first couple of corners. And now we're running back again towards that chicane section. Turn 5 here. A real fun little camber left-hander. And then we're right back into right-hander for turn 6. And you can see he is still putting pressure on Zamperlini, but watch out ahead of Zamperlini. I think this is going to heat up a little bit because Zamperlini is getting within a second of Mojave. And this is going to bring me a little bit of a flashback from our last race that we just had about an hour ago when Mojave and Zamperlini battled it out on the last lap. And they had a third person in place. Last race it was Gaspar, and Gaspar took advantage of it. I think this time we're going to see Mojave, Zamperlini, and Irvine putting in a little bit of a battle here as now look at this. 3 drivers within a second of each other.
Yeah, Perwin hitting the 6 coming into that turn, and you can really see trying to juice the most out of that straightaway coming into some of the big turns here. And you really see the pressure starting to mount there. Now, actually, the gap shortening between Perwin, Zamperlini, and Kalevi, all very, very, very close. And final laps coming in ahead of us. Zamperlini now less than 0.3 away, really making a big move.
So here's a question for you. How wide can you make a Porsche Cup car?
To cross to the other side. I don't know. That's a new one for me. I mean, they're wide. I don't know. What's the answer, Brad?
Kohavi's going to answer it for about the next 2 laps, I believe. We are going to see defensive masterclass is coming up here from Mojave. I believe Zamperlini has his work cut out for him. Watch this as we go down into turn 1. It's 0.3 of a second the gap, and you can see Mojave a little bit later on the brakes there. Look at, I wouldn't, man, that is pressure that Mojave is going to be feeling. He's driving, again, I said this last race, I'll say it now, he's driving out of his rear mirror just as much as he is out of his front, and he's going to be defending as hard as he can, but that can open up the opportunity for a mistake. So Zamperlini has a delicate balance for the next 2 laps between just driving aggressively and not rear-ending Mojave going into turn 5 and just putting the pressure, trying to stay consistent and comfortable. And Mojave needs to put the pedal to the metal and really get it going here.
Bumper to bumper, like you're talking, Brad. This doesn't get much closer than this. Only a couple of tenths of a second separating Calabi and Zamperlini, lengthening a little bit on the straightaway, but that should compress back as they head into turn 4.5. White flag! As Ganez is already over the dividing line. Everybody else trying to eat his dust here. 109 still being set, so consistent top speed. And if there is any lap to do it, that lap is now. You can see shorting to just under 0.2 of a second here, and maybe a little bit of even contact there. Zamperlini is not giving up without a fight. Our final lap here, Brad, and Zamperlini is absolutely murderous. Not content to eat Calabi's dust for the rest of this race, looking for absolutely any overtake opportunity.
His overtake opportunities are getting real short here. A little bit of bump draft, Robbins racing, but that was as Zamperlini locks up completely there. And you can see the respect of the racers there. Pervon goes by completely. Zamperlini is stopping on track here and is going to give the position back to Mojave. That is respect. I think Mojave broke a little bit earlier than Zamperlini expected, and that is so unfortunate for both of them, as that knocks them both down a place. Josh Pervine is going to move forward. Corbin Guinez is going to move us up and finish this race now. Kyle Gaspar P2, but that is, it's unfortunate. It's a part of racing. I don't think he expected it. I want to give big props to Zamperlini, though, for doing the right thing and giving that position back to Mojave. That was, oh man, that's going to be discussed later, I'm sure.
Right at the end of the race, and this is what we're talking about. You know, it's sort of legally obligated as commentators to mention that anything can happen, but you kind of don't expect it. But in that case, absolutely it did. The very final lap, Brad, and we're already seeing some execution errors there. And honestly, the best part of this isn't even the finish, isn't even the tight, exciting races between our racers, but it is absolutely that sportsmanship there by Zamperlini. Man, incredibly tight racing all race long. Is up in third at one point, and then lost 1 place, 2 place, 3 place, 4, all the way down there with Zende, who finishes a lap back, and a little bit unfortunate there for him. Tragedy for Zende happened in lap 1, and Zamperlini's met his end, unfortunately, at the end of all 20. Man, you just cannot take a breath for one moment this race, Brad, because anything absolutely can and does happen. And so that is a look at our final top 6. Ganez, Kaspar, Irwin, Calabi, Zamperlini, and Resende, rounding out our final race of the day, Brad. And while our race is over today, it has been an absolutely electrifying one. So thank you so much for joining me, Brad.
Yeah, Reed, it's always great to be here. Absolutely love the racing in AMX. I am going to be curious to see if there's any discussion between Mojave and Zamperlini about that final incident contact there. But it happens sometimes, and the thing is, it's a long season. We've got 85 more races to go this season, so hopefully they don't hold it too far, but we'll see what happens. 85 more to go.
Well, if you guys watching want to be a part of that discussion, you can head on over to amxrace.com. Scroll down to the bottom, we got all our socials, including a Discord, where you guys can find out more information about when our races are going on, talk with the players, and just get involved in the AMX racing community. That's going to do it for us today, but don't go anywhere. We've got more racing coming your way tomorrow. We got 4 races every week, and of course, Brad and I will be joining you for a few of them. So thank you so much to everybody out there for watching, to our production team behind the scenes for taking us through another wonderful, nigh flawless day, and we'll see you back here once again for even more action from AMX Season 2. Thanks so much for watching.
Bye.